All right, let's just jump right in. I'm willing to bet that if you're an athlete, or really anyone who's serious about their fitness, you've been here before. You're in a great training block, you're feeling strong, and then you glance at your watch and it flashes a warning. You need to rest. It's that classic battle, right? What the data tells you versus what you want to do.
So just think about it for a second. That little alert pops up on your wrist. What's your gut reaction? Do you listen right away, or is that little voice in your head that just says, nope, ignore it, keep going? This is the big question we're going to unpack.
And yeah, this quote, it just nails that feeling. It's a total internal battle. Your mind is locked in on your goal, you're ready to push through, and this gadget on your wrist is screaming at you to pump the brakes. It's a dilemma so many of us know. So to really get why your watch is even saying this, we got to dig into the key metric it's looking at.
Okay, so let's get a little bit nerdy and talk about the science behind that rest alert. It all boils down to this really cool metric called heart rate variability, or HRV for short.
Now, here's the key thing to get straight. HRV is not your heart rate. So, let's say your heart rate is 60 beats per minute. That doesn't mean it's beating exactly once per second like a clock. Nope. There are these tiny little variations in milliseconds between each and every beat. And HRV, that's just the measurement of this natural little wobble.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because this chart breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you've got low variability. Think of your heart beating like a strict, rigid metronome. Tick, tock, tick, tock. You might think that's good, but it's actually a sign of stress or fatigue. It means your body's autopilot system, the one that handles breathing and all that, it's struggling. But on the other side, you've got more variability. That's a good thing. It's a sign that you're recovered, resilient, and ready to adapt. So yeah, a little bit of irregularity, that's what you want to see. Okay, so that's the science, right? But how in the world does your watch take all that complicated rhythm stuff and turn it into simple advice like, hey, you should rest? Let's take a look at how a Garmin, for example, pulls this off. The process is actually way smarter and more personal than you might think. So first, it measures your HRV while you're sleeping, which is basically the best time to get a clean reading. Then, over a few weeks, it's not comparing you to anyone else. It's learning what's normal for you. It builds your personal baseline. And from there, every single night, it just compares your latest score to that baseline to see how you're doing. And this is what it all boils down to. It spits out a super simple status. Balanced, that's your green light. Everything's in sync, you're good to go. But unbalanced, well, that's the one we're really digging into today. And it's a huge red flag. It's basically your watch screaming that your body is under some serious strain and just can't bounce back. Okay, let's bring this all back down to earth with a real-world example from the person whose story inspired this whole explainer. This is where it stops being just numbers and gets really personal. So, the runner we're following, he looks at his watch, and he sees a number, 72. But 72, what does that even mean? Is that good, bad? It's just a number, right? Well, the watch translates that 72 into a very clear, very direct message: unbalanced. And the advice that comes with it, just as blunt: let's rest more. And boom, there it is, that exact moment of conflict we started with.
So, the big question is, why? Why was he getting this warning? Well, when he actually took a step back and looked at his training, the reasons were, let's just say, pretty obvious. First off, he was running over 100K a week. That's a ton. On top of that, he was doing these killer 40-minute threshold runs consistently. His training load was just, well, it was through the roof. Get this, his plan was so intense, he actually plugged it into ChatGPT for a second opinion, and even the AI was like, whoa dude, your training load is high. But look, getting a warning like unbalanced isn't just about feeling bad. It's not the end of the story. The real magic happens when you turn that warning into wisdom. So how can you actually use this data to train smarter, not just harder? Here's a super simple 3-step way to think about it. Step 1, use it as a daily check-in. It helps you decide, okay, is today a go hard day or a take it easy day? Step 2, look beyond your training. And this one's huge. That crazy stressful day at work, a terrible night's sleep, that can tank your HRV just as much as a brutal workout. And here's why. Your body doesn't know the difference. Stress is just stress, whether it's from running a 10K or from a deadline at work. And finally, step 3, and this is maybe the most important part, focus on the trend over weeks, not just one bad night's reading. One low score is a blip, a steady downward trend, that's the real signal you need to pay attention to.
But let's be honest, knowing you should rest and actually doing it, well, those are two totally different things, aren't they? And this gets us to what might be the biggest hurdle of all, the mental game, the psychology of giving yourself permission to rest. I mean, this quote right here, I have a guilty feeling about resting. Wow, that just hits home for so many people, right? If you're a driven person, if you have goals, taking a day off can feel like you're quitting. It feels like you're being lazy. You get this wave of guilt.
The runner had this fantastic metaphor for it. He called it being a self-black company. Now, for context, a black company in Japan is a term for a super exploitative, sweatshop-style workplace. And he realized, oh my God, I've become my own black company. He's both the ruthless boss and the exhausted employee, just pushing himself relentlessly.
And this right here is where something like HRV is so incredibly valuable. It's not some drill sergeant yelling at you. Think of it more like an objective, impartial coach. It gives you the cold, hard data that cuts right through all that emotion and guilt. It gives you permission, logical permission, to do the thing your body is already begging you to do, recover.
So, in the end, it's all about reframing how we think about this. And if you take away one single thing from this, let it be this. Rest isn't quitting. Rest isn't the opposite of training. Rest is training. That recovery period is when all the magic happens, is when your body actually adapts and gets stronger. Without it, you're not building, you're just breaking.
So as we finish up here, I just want to leave you with this one thought. Your body is giving you signals all the time, just like your watch. The real question isn't about the data on a screen. It's about whether we're actually willing to listen to it and to our own bodies. And to really understand that sometimes the absolute smartest, most effective way to move forward is to have the courage to just stand still. So what's your body telling you today? And are you ready to listen?